This is Wretched Radio with Todd Friel.
Well, this ought to be interesting. Hold on.
Film at 11.
Breaking news. Now that I have every evangelical's attention, because if it ain't breaking, baby, we aren't watching it. Breaking news. The president has introduced his budget, and I'm here as a political commentator to help you to understand the budget. It's very complicated. It's very tricky if you don't know basic math. The budget that has been presented by our current president is for a whopping $6 trillion, an unfathomable amount of money, $6 trillion. I decided to look up how much the federal government receives every year in taxes, averaging for the last 5 years, give or take, on the generous side, $3.5 trillion. So I put on my math hat and I subtracted 3.5 from 6, and I realized, hey, they're spending more than what they're taking in. This should be a no-brainer, shouldn't it? You can't spend what you don't have. You shouldn't be spending money that you do not have any way to say is going to definitively come in. God doesn't like debt, personally or for governments. So to me, this is like a no-brainer. This is DOA. There's no point in considering this. No, because the government, in a similar sense, is like a family. If I make $100 a year and come up with a family budget of $500 a year, I'm going to be in a little trouble. Why do I bring that up? Is it to be a political pundit? No, but perhaps, man, I've caught you in a trap. You see, there are a lot of people who believe, and I understand why, and believe me, this is not an orthodoxy issue reaching the level of heresy, but there's a great encouragement in evangelical circles to tithe, and we automatically think 10%. You should note, if you haven't unhitched your Old Testament, the Old Testament tithes were about 23 1/3% over the course of 7 years. That's on average what you would pay, because there were different taxes for the running of the nation. Then you were to bring your gifts and offerings to God. I think that principle is seen again in 2 Corinthians 8 and 9, the giving chapters really of the New Testament, that you give what you want to give. Pay your taxes, render unto Caesar, pay them, even when they're inequitable and not fair and not biblical, because a fair share is everybody paying the exact same percentage, like in the Bible. It didn't matter if you were rich or poor, 23 1/3, that's the expectation. Then bring your offerings to God. And I think that we see that echoed in the New Testament. But some people would say, if you are in debt, you need to keep giving to God. Some people would go really far with it, and this is getting into wonky land. If you don't give to God, you're not going to get anything back. That's just utter nonsense. God is not to be bribed by our good gifts, because they come from such sin-tainted hands. God gives because he gives. God is kind because he's kind. God is generous because he's generous. He's the open-handed God. And he gives as he sees fit. Some people would say, no, you want God's blessing, you better give your tithe. And they make it 10%, having unhitched their Old Testament tithing knowledge. And they insist that you do it even if you're in debt. If you listen to my political punditry about the budget thing that he just introduced. See, I want to sometimes slow down so that you don't think I know everything about politics. The word is budget that I was looking for. The Biden budget, it is ridiculous because there's no money there. And you maybe went, yeah, for sure. Might I suggest that applies to you too? If you're currently in debt, you don't have anything to give to God. You don't have an offering to bring right now. Now, don't despair about this. This is not bad news for you. This is good news, because the Bible speaks more about the subject of money than just give what you want to give to God. God wants you to not be in debt. And by the way, I don't see a mortgage correctly understood as a debt. I think it's a secured debt, which makes it a whole lot different than you've just racked up credit card bills. We were watching the HGTV. Why? Well, there wasn't anything good on the Hallmark Channel. I'm just kidding. There's never anything good on the Hallmark Channel. We're watching the HGTV, and this couple's finally going to buy a house. Why finally? Because they were like 40, and they had kids that were becoming teenagers. They were finally buying a house because they lost their last house. Why? Well, we had the credit card debt of $100,000. Boing! What? They finally got out of debt, and they cobbled together some money for a down payment. Now they can buy a house. Might I suggest you should do likewise? If you've got unsecured debt, work like crazy to get out of it, and then give to God what you desire to give to him. You don't go into further debt to offer a gift to God that you don't possess. That's bad stewardship, to say the least. Now, should you be thinking, well, that's just going to allow people to slide? They're going to be able to just stay in their debt and not have to worry about giving to God. Well, I would say there's probably a bigger problem with that somebody's heart. You should know God is fully aware of your finances, which means if you're currently in unsecured debt land, all the money that you spend, you need to do the same degree of accounting that God does. Does he want you to enjoy anything while you're in debt? Sure, you can. But if it is unnecessary, you need to work, strive to get out of that debt, because God doesn't want you in debt. And then he asks you to give to him as your heart speaks to you and as you desire. So if you agree that the Biden budget business is bonkers, perhaps it's analogous to your situation. By the way, the Biden budget, this is, it's terrible news. It really, awful news if you happen to be a baby. But I'm just he's so nice. The president he's nice. And he's so civil. So some people say. Biden's excluding the Hyde Amendment from the $6 trillion budget proposal. This is a first. The Hyde Amendment prevented taxpayer dollars from funding abortions. Guess what? It ain't in the current budget, which means your money, my money, going to be going more and more to abortions. But don't fret. Joe Biden hasn't sent out many mean tweets, so it's all good. It's better for the nation. And as long as we're talking politics, Friel, please do. We're so confident in your skills because you can't remember the word budget. There was a ruling that took place regarding a Christian college you should know about. Joe Biden signed an executive order in January titled Executive Order on Preventing and Combating Discrimination on the Basis of Gender Identity or Sexual Orientation. Uh-oh. So this is adding to skin color how you perceive yourself or how you behave behind closed doors with or without Charlie Rich so that you can't be discriminated against in any way. Children should be able to learn without worrying about whether they will be denied access to the restroom, the locker room, or school sports, Biden's order said. So a Christian college in Missouri decided to file a lawsuit claiming no, that's actually victimizing women. That men, biological men, can be in the locker rooms with women or in the bathroom with women. Furthermore, and we're seeing a couple of these stories, there is a fellow in, I got the story here somewhere. It's next to the word budget. I'll find it eventually. A fellow from some foreign land who's been a weightlifter for like 20 years. Now identifies as a woman, and they're going to let him participate in the weightlifting in the Olympics. What could possibly go wrong? How's about those women who have actually spent their lives trying to be weightlifters, and now they have to compete against a dude? Furthermore, in golf, there's a fellow who is identifying as a woman who just won a tournament where you now can play on the LPGA. So a dude is now going to be playing golf. And there are people like Governor DeSantis in Florida. That was pretty bold stuff. The NCAA was saying, hey, we're not going to come and hold tournaments in Florida if you don't change your policies, because Florida has passed legislation. No, boys can't compete in girls' sports because it's not fair. They threatened, well, we're going to boycott you. And he said colorfully, go away. We don't care, because we care more about girls than we care about revenue from a sporting event. Go away. We care about girls. Turns out that the Missouri school that tried to get this overturned, an Obama-appointed federal judge ruled against the Christian college, said they must allow biological males to share dorms and showers with women. Be of good cheer. Our current president is super nice. This is Wretched Radio. Hey, I'm Todd. I'm going to be your Uber driver. What's your destination?
2054 Kemple Lane.
No. Your eternal destination. The liberals, they brought in Pelagianism. It's the old Sabellian heresy, denying the Trinitarian Godhead. 3 persons, 1 God, not to the Sabellians. No. They would say that it's actually just 1 God. Please, somebody!